You've seen cigars in movies, on special occasions, maybe even in your grandfather's drawer. But do you actually know what goes into making one? Behind every cigar is a world of hand-picked leaves, old-school craftsmanship, and surprising science. Forget the factory floor of cigarettes. This is a slower, richer journey from farm to flame. From tiny seeds in southern soil to cedar-lined aging rooms, the process is far more detailed and more human than you might expect. Today, we're stepping inside that world to see exactly how cigars are really made. And trust us, it's not what you think. Seeds of smoke. Every cigar's story starts in the dirt, specifically the warm, flat farmland of North Carolina. In early spring, farmers gear up for one of the most sensitive parts of the process, planting tobacco. This isn't just about throwing seeds into the ground. It's an organized mechanical ballet. Automated machines fill trays with rich soil and carefully drop microscopic seeds into each pocket. These seeds are so small they almost look like dust. The trays are moved into vast greenhouses where the air is thick with humidity and the temperature is tightly controlled. For 7 weeks, the seedlings are pampered with water, warmth, and just the right amount of light. It's like a tropical spa for baby tobacco plants. Once the seedlings are tall and sturdy enough, they're ready to face the real world. Transplanting machines drive through the open fields, placing each sapling into its new home in neat, endless rows. These young plants now face real sun, real soil, and the watchful eye of farmers who keep them hydrated and healthy. This is where the leaf, the soul of every cigar, starts its journey. Sculpting the crop. By midsummer, the tobacco fields are thick with growth. The plants now stand chest high, and at their tops, something important starts to happen. They begin to flower. But in the world of cigar tobacco, flowers are actually a bad thing. They drain energy away from the leaves, which are the parts we care about. So farmers step in. They remove the flowers by hand or machine in a process called topping. This forces the plant to send all its nutrients back into the leaves, making them richer and more flavorful. But that's not the only trick. Farmers also apply growth inhibitors, chemicals that tell the plant to slow down and focus on ripening those thick green leaves. It's a bit like fine-tuning a recipe while it's cooking. Over the next few weeks, the plants transform. They become broader, heavier, and more aromatic. When the leaves start to turn a soft yellow, farmers know they've hit the sweet spot. It's nature's signal. The leaves are ripe, and it's almost time to harvest. Timing the golden hour. Harvesting tobacco isn't like picking apples. It's precise, delicate, and entirely driven by timing. Too early, and the leaves won't have their full flavor. Too late, and they lose strength. On harvest day, large digging machines glide through the fields, loosening entire plants from the soil in one swoop. The machines are gentle enough not to bruise the leaves, but strong enough to lift the mature plants out by their roots. From there, the plants are moved onto trucks in open-air bins. These bins keep the leaves from overheating or drying out before the next stage. Everything runs like a relay race. The goal is to get from field to drying barn before the plant starts changing on its own. Weather plays a big role here. A clear day means smooth operations and a harvest that keeps its color and texture. Once the trucks are loaded, they head to storage barns where the leaves wait for their transformation. This marks the end of their time in the field and the beginning of a chemical journey that gives cigars their distinct flavor and aroma. The chemistry of flavor. Curing tobacco is part science, part tradition. Once the harvested leaves arrive at the barns, they're laid out or hung inside wooden structures designed for one job, drying the leaves slowly and evenly. The most common method is flue curing, where wood is burned beneath the floor, sending warm air up into the barn. Over the next 5 to 8 weeks, this steady heat draws out moisture from the leaves. But it does more than dry them. It triggers chemical changes. Natural sugars in the leaves break down. The green color fades into golden brown. The aroma deepens. This is where the tobacco's true character begins to form. If you walk into a curing barn mid-process, the air smells earthy, slightly sweet, and smoky. It's not unlike walking into an old library or a cedar chest. It feels seasoned. Once cured, the leaves are sorted by hand. Farmers look at their color, seeds, and texture. Some will be perfect for wrappers, others for fillers. No two batches of cured tobacco are exactly the same. That's what makes this step so special. It's part of what separates a cheap cigar from a premium one. Every leaf carries its own signature. Preparing for precision after curing, the tobacco isn't ready to be rolled just yet. First, it needs a little pampering. The dried leaves are stiff and brittle, far too fragile to handle. So factories start with conditioning. This involves gently adding moisture back into the leaves, making them soft and flexible again. Think of it like steaming a wrinkled shirt, except with the tobacco, the goal is to unlock aroma and workability. Next, workers begin sorting. Not all leaves are created equal. Some are large and flawless, ideal for cigar wrappers. Others are smaller or veiny, better suited for the filler inside the cigar. Machines assist with this step using optical scanners to check color and uniformity. But in high-end factories, trained eyes still do most of the work. Once sorted, the leaves are bundled together by type and grade. At this stage, you might see huge stacks of tobacco, some light and golden, others dark and oily, all waiting for their next roll. Every pile has a purpose, whether it's adding body, sweetness, or strength to a blend. With the right moisture, the right leaf, and the right handling, the tobacco is finally ready to become part of something bigger, a finished cigar. Crafting the perfect mix. Once the leaves are soft and flexible, it's time to break them down. The next stop in the journey is stripping, where the tough center veins of each leaf are removed. These veins, or stems, aren't useful for flavor. They burn unevenly and don't contribute much to the smoke. So machines gently pull them out, leaving behind only the soft, usable part of the leaf. Now comes one of the most critical and secretive parts of the process: blending. Think of it like mixing spices in a kitchen. Different leaves have different roles. Some add strength, others bring sweetness or a smooth burn. The goal is to combine just the right mix to match a specific flavor profile. Big cigar makers guard their blending recipes like a family secret. Even slight changes can make one cigar taste totally different from another. Every batch is carefully balanced to deliver a certain experience. Some cigars are bold and heavy, others are mild and mellow. And it all starts here with the blend. Once the mix is just right, the tobacco is ready to be shaped into something smokable. Tuning the experience. Before the tobacco can be rolled into cigars, it has to be cut. Special shredding machines slice the leaves into fine strands, often called a rag cut. This makes it easier to pack the filler evenly and helps the cigar burn smoothly from start to finish. For some cigars, this is where the process ends. But in the case of cigarettes or certain flavored cigarillos, extra steps come into play. These products may be treated with added flavors. Think notes of vanilla, chocolate, or even something spicy. The flavors aren't just sprayed on, they're usually absorbed into the tobacco using steam or vapor. That way, the flavor seeps deep into the leaf. But here's the key difference. Premium cigars almost never use added flavorings. Their rich taste comes entirely from the blend of leaves and how they've been aged or fermented. In cigar culture, that natural flavor is a point of pride. So while cigarettes might focus on uniformity and flavor additives, cigars rely on craft, leaf selection, and time. Now, with the tobacco cut, blended, and, if needed, flavored, it's ready to be formed into a proper cigar. Speed meets scale. When it comes to cigarettes, everything is about speed and consistency. These products are made by the millions every day. In a modern factory, machines can roll out up to 20,000 cigarettes every minute. It's like a high-speed bakery, only for tobacco. It starts with a giant roll of paper, sometimes stretching more than 4 miles long. This paper moves fast, feeding through a line where tobacco is laid down in a thin stream. The paper is then wrapped tightly around the tobacco to form a long rod. That rod is sliced into smaller sections, each one the length of a cigarette. But there's more. Filters are added next. These little white plugs are attached using something called tipping paper, the part with the colored band that wraps around the filter end. Every cigarette is measured for weight, size, and draw resistance. If something's off, the machine rejects it automatically. After that, the cigarettes are packed into boxes, sealed with foil, and shrink-wrapped for freshness. From one end of the line to the other, it only takes a few minutes to make a finished product. The process is quick, mechanical, and designed to be exactly the same every single time. An artisanal ritual. Cigars, on the other hand, take a very different path. They're made slowly, often by hand, and everyone is slightly unique. It all starts with fermentation. After curing, the tobacco sits in large piles, sometimes for months. During this time, heat and pressure naturally build up, changing the tobacco's chemistry. The flavor deepens, the color darkens, and the leaf becomes even smoother. Once it's ready, each part of the cigar is selected. There's the filler, which forms the inside core. Then comes the binder, which holds everything together. Finally, the wrapper, the outermost leaf, is chosen with care. This part must be smooth, stretchy, and visually perfect. It's what gives the cigar its final look. Skilled cigar rollers take a bunch of filler leaves and roll them into a tight cylinder. The binder goes on next, giving the cigar structure. Then comes the wrapper, rolled with firm, practiced hands. In some factories, this is done entirely by hand. In others, machines assist but still rely on human oversight. The finished cigars are trimmed to size, pressed into molds, and aged, sometimes for months. Some are stored in cedar-lined rooms to absorb aroma and smooth out any rough edges. It's a slower, more artistic process. That's why premium cigars often cost more and carry more prestige. Precision in every puff. Once a cigar or cigarette is made, the journey isn't over, not yet. Before anything gets packed into a box or sent out into the world, it must pass through one final crucial stage: quality control. This is where the smallest flaws can mean the difference between a premium product and a rejected one. It's the moment where craftsmanship and technology meet, and nothing escapes unnoticed. In cigarette production, where thousands of units are rolling off the line every minute, machines do most of the heavy lifting. These are highly advanced systems that scan and measure each cigarette for uniformity. They check the length, the weight, and even the density of the tobacco inside. One key test is airflow, also called draw. This determines how easily air moves through the cigarette when someone takes a puff. If the draw is too tight, it's hard to smoke. Too loose, and it burns too fast. Either way, those units get kicked off the line. Every single cigarette has to match a strict standard to make the cut. Cigars, however, operate under a different rhythm. Machines may assist in measuring length and weight, but the heart of cigar quality control lies in human hands. Skilled inspectors go through each cigar, examining it from tip to foot. They look closely at the wrapper for cracks, discoloration, or blemishes. They gently squeeze the body of the cigar to feel for soft spots or uneven packing. These physical checks ensure that each cigar will burn evenly and draw smoothly. Two things cigar smokers expect without compromise. This human touch is what sets premium cigars apart. It's not just about mechanical precision. It's about how it feels, how it looks, and how it responds in your hand. Some cigars are even test smoked in the factory by trained tasters, who can catch issues no machine would detect. A slightly bitter note or an uneven burn might go unnoticed by sensors, but not by someone who's been trained to judge quality by taste and feel. Even packaging is part of the quality process. Cigarettes are tightly sealed in foil to lock in moisture and preserve freshness. The packs are then shrink-wrapped in plastic and often come with a tamper-evident seal. This keeps them shelf-stable during transport and storage. Cigar packaging, by contrast, is as much about protection as it is presentation. Many are packed into wooden cedar boxes, which help regulate humidity and enhance aroma. Others are slipped into glass tubes or paper sleeves that prevent the wrapper from drying or cracking. At this stage, everything slows down, even in large factories. Whether it's a machine-made cigarette or a hand-rolled cigar, the product is carefully inspected before it's allowed to move forward. Because once that box is sealed, it's headed out into shops, lounges, and pockets around the world. And there's no second chance to fix a flawed product. Precision, care, and final judgment all happen here, in the quiet space between creation and delivery. From factory to fingertip, once the final product passes all quality checks, the last stage of the journey begins: packaging. This is where cigars and cigarettes go from factory floor fresh to retail ready. The process might not seem glamorous, but it plays a big role in preserving freshness, protecting shape, and adding that final layer of identity. Cigarettes are packed fast. High-speed machines group them into sets, usually 20 sticks per pack, then wrap them tightly in foil to lock in aroma and moisture. The packs slide into cardboard boxes, get a printed health warning slapped on, and are shrink-wrapped in clear plastic. Those small details, like tear strips and barcodes, are all added here too. From there, packs are bundled into cartons, then loaded into shipping cases and stacked on pallets. It's clean, efficient, and built for scale. Cigar packaging takes a slower, more thoughtful path. Especially for premium cigars, presentation is part of the experience. Each cigar might be placed in a cedar-lined wooden box, hand-polished and engraved with the brand's emblem. Some are slipped into glass tubes or wrapped in tissue, ribbon, or foil. These touches aren't just for show, they help regulate humidity and preserve the cigar's oils and aroma. Even budget-friendly cigars often arrive in neatly printed boxes with a rustic look that tells you this is something crafted. Whether heading to a convenience store or a specialty tobacco shop, every box is loaded, sealed, and tracked. But the journey doesn't end at packaging. It continues through warehouses, distributors, and finally into the hands of a buyer. It's at that moment when the box is opened and the scent of cured tobacco fills the air that all the months of care, farming, rolling, and quality control come to life. The essential differences. At a quick glance, cigars and cigarettes might look like they belong in the same family. They're both made from tobacco, both are rolled, and both involve smoke. But once you scratch the surface, the gap between them becomes wide and unmistakable. In how they're made, how they're used, and what they represent, cigars and cigarettes are practically from different worlds. Cigarettes are the product of speed and precision. They're built for mass consumption, engineered to be identical every single time. In a factory, tobacco is chopped into fine strands, treated with a cocktail of chemicals and flavorings, and then machine-packed into paper tubes. Each cigarette is fitted with a filter, wrapped in tipping paper, and designed to burn smoothly and quickly. The experience is short, predictable, and easily repeatable, something that fits into a break at work or a moment of stress. Cigars, in contrast, are slow and deliberate. The tobacco is handled with care, fermented for depth of flavor, and aged, sometimes for months, even years. Instead of being chopped and processed, the leaves are left whole, layered, and hand-rolled with expert precision. There are no filters, no paper casing, and often no added flavorings. The taste comes purely from the tobacco and the way it's been aged and blended. Smoking a cigar isn't usually something you rush. It's often reserved for an evening celebration, a moment of quiet reflection, or a social ritual. Some even say it's like sipping whiskey compared to taking a shot. The differences don't stop at the tobacco itself. They extend into how these products are smoked. Cigarette smoke is typically inhaled deep into the lungs, delivering a quick hit of nicotine. Cigar smoke is rarely inhaled. Instead, it's drawn into the mouth and savored for its flavor. Because of this, cigars often have a stronger, more complex taste profile, but they also come with higher nicotine content per stick. Then there's the cultural divide. Cigarettes are everyday items, common, accessible, and tied to habit. They've become symbols of rebellion, stress relief, or routine. You find them in gas stations, corner stores, and vending machines. Cigars, on the other hand, carry a sense of ceremony. They're seen as luxury items, often given as gifts, or enjoyed at weddings, retirements, or high-end lounges. In many circles, cigars are as much about the image as they are about the smoke. Still, beneath all these distinctions, there's a shared truth. Whether it's a quick cigarette or a carefully aged cigar, both deliver nicotine, both involve smoke, and both come with serious health risks. Over the years, health warnings have grown louder, regulations have tightened, and public perception has shifted. Today, many smokers are more aware than ever of the consequences. But for those who choose to light up, cigars and cigarettes remain two very different roads that begin at the same leaf and lead to very different destinations. A controversial legacy. Tobacco didn't start as a global industry. Long before factories and rolling machines, it was a sacred plant used by indigenous tribes across the Americas in rituals and healing ceremonies. The smoke was believed to carry messages to the gods, a kind of spiritual bridge between the earth and the sky. It wasn't about habit, it was about meaning. Then came European explorers who took tobacco back to Europe in the 1500s. The plant spread like wildfire across the globe, and by the 1600s, it had become one of the most profitable colonial crops. Tobacco built fortunes, fueled trade, and laid the groundwork for global smoking culture. It was wrapped in fashion, war, and economy, smoked by everyone from soldiers to royalty. The 20th century marked the true boom, especially for cigarettes. Massive advertising campaigns glamorized smoking. Soldiers received cigarettes in rations. Celebrities lit up on screen. Cigarettes became symbols of freedom, rebellion, even sophistication. But by the late 1960s, cracks began to show. Scientists linked tobacco to cancer, heart disease, and addiction. Slowly, the world's view of tobacco shifted. Today, cigar and cigarette manufacturers operate under strict regulations. Health warnings are printed in bold. Flavored tobacco is restricted in some places. And yet, the demand persists. For some, it's tradition. For others, a personal ritual. Either way, the legacy of tobacco is complex, woven through history, science, and human behavior. So when you see a cigar on a shelf or watch a cigarette roll off a factory line, remember, you're not just looking at a product. You're seeing the result of centuries of cultivation, invention, and controversy. It's a story that spans continents, and it's still being written. Now that you've seen the care, time, and tradition behind every cigar, it's clear this isn't just a smoke, it's a crafted experience. Whether you're curious or a connoisseur, we hope this journey sparked a new appreciation. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening explorations.